Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. Joseph James here, schooloftrade.com, sidewaysmarkets.com. It's October 18th, 2010. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a good weekend full of sports. Lots of good sports over the weekend, wasn't there? Hope you had a great weekend. We're back to business here, guys. First thing this morning, Monday morning. Now, before we talk about the trades we took today, had a really good day today in the room, guys. Had to work for it. Had to work for it a little bit, but we ended up making our money towards the end of the morning this morning. Want to remind you, though, before we talk about the trades we took today on our blog, lots of important stuff on the blog, guys. Now, if you can, follow the blog. That way you get all the new updates that are put out there. Every time we post an article, every time we post a video, you'll want to be either registered for our newsletter. You can do that on the blog as well, or you'll want to follow the blog. And then don't forget, up top, guys, up top of the blog, you've got two important sections. One is Trade Room Resources. The second is Live Webinars. We recorded all the webinars, put those webinars right above on live webinars. But the biggest section, though, Trade Room Resources, I post all my daily notes there, right? All the important topics we talk about in our trade room every day are posted right there, guys, on Trade Room Resources. So right up top here, guys, click on Trade Room Resources. That will answer a lot of your questions you guys have as guests in our live trade room. Let's keep moving. Let's see how we did. 2, 4, 6 total trades. We took 2 losses. Right, guys? So we had 1/3 of our trades today were losing trades. Okay? This doesn't happen very often. Had a slow day, and towards about 11 o'clock, 11:30, things began to get a little bit choppy out there. Took 2 back-to-back losses on crude. Now, big important fact, though, here. Both of these losses were early exit losses, so I pulled the plug early rather than being caught off guard by the market. Many of you guys know that when I take 2 losses in a row or take 2 losses in general, I'm now done for the morning. This was a little bit different though, right? Early exit losses. One of them, I got out early on a winning trade. We'll show you guys that more here in a second. But really though, the loss we took on crude 1135, that was what actually was the catalyst which got me into the big winning trade to the long side right afterwards. We'll talk more about that in a second though. 134 ticks, 1340 for the day today, guys. Another 4-digit day, guys. Big winners here, over $1,300. That brings our monthly total $20,000 for the month, guys. Now, I'll be honest, my goal is usually about $10,000, guys. But this is the best time of the year to be trading, guys. I expect my profit goals to be exceeded in the fall, guys. The fall's the best time to be a trader. October, November, and December, guys. We have another $30,000 to make this year. Are you going to be with me on that one? Are you with me, right? I think another $30,000 is easily attainable here in our live trade room before the end of 2010. All right, we're going to keep you guys posted, though. We have $170,000 for the year, $200,000 for the month, guys. I think we've got another $30,000-$40,000, though, left in this year so far, guys. But let's see what happened today. Now, Monday morning was slow, right? I mean, it was real slow this morning. The big factor was the dollar. The dollar bounced up above the highs from Friday, but then came trickling down into the range from Friday and became an inside day. We started off as an outside day that came tumbling back down into an inside day, and we ended up seeing that dollar resting at the previous high of day. Euro flat, Russell flat, gold flat. Only thing that was moving was the crude, but even the crude this morning was pretty sluggish. Now, I almost gave back my money. We took 2 back-to-back losses on the crude, but those losses, though, as you guys know, we talked about this in the room this morning. Whenever I have a losing trade, it's usually because something out of the ordinary happens. So, for example, I'm in a short trade on crude oil. Why did I get into that short trade? I got into a short trade because I was at the highs, selling the highs. I got into that short trade because I saw big sellers of those highs and momentum pointing down. Well, like I said, if I take a loss, that means something happened that was out of the ordinary. For that example, for a short, price reverses against me. So I'm going short on crude, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, right, something unexpected comes up and forces me to flatten that trade. Now, that unexpected move, that's what gets me now changing my bias in the market, right? I was thinking short because I saw big sellers. But then there was enough action in the market that told me, boy, maybe the short side was the wrong side. Maybe I should switch to the upside now. And I call this trading with the market rather than against the market. Guys, how many times have I been looking for a short? And remember, guys, what happens is as our minds begin to qualify these trades, our minds are very smart. We begin to push away things that tell us this is not going to work. right? That's why we let our losers run and let our winners, right, cut our winners early. It's because we're always making excuses for ourselves. So what happens is sometimes you'll have this tunnel vision, right, where all you see is the short side, right? I don't see the long side. All I see is the short side. And that will cause us to be a little bit blind to what the market has to offer us. Now, it was a little bit different today, guys, but when we have that stop or we take a losing trade, oftentimes it's because the bias or the sentiment has shifted, and that's what caused me to get into our long trade. The long trade was the biggest winner of the day. It was almost a $1,000 winner today. So it took a loss to show me that the bias in the market, the sentiment in the market was not going down, it was reversing back to the upside. That's what gave me so much confidence to jump into our last trade of the day. Let's start with the dollar though, because the dollar is what really gave us this heads up this morning. On my dollar here, first of all, on my dollar, what do we see? I see a couple things. Here's my trading range this morning. You can see I've got my lows down here, my highs up top here, and what I did was I used my price alert to mark up my highs and mark up my lows. Now, once I saw the dollar break the lows, that's when I know everything else should be rising. In fact, we were in a crude trade long when the dollar broke these lows. We see above the range from yesterday, and then we came back down into the range afterwards. So there's my previous high of day. You can see we come up, right? We come up and then we come right back down in to the range from yesterday. So we call this an inside day. Okay, what else do we see? I see we have a head and shoulders pattern, right? There's a very obvious head and shoulders, which meant we were expecting the dollar to drop, right? Head and shoulders is a reversal pattern. This reversal pattern, the dollar tells us, expect a drop. Now, what is that going to tell me here, right? Because this actually told us this and we knew about this ahead of time. What do you see here, guys? If I have a head and shoulders pattern on the dollar, and we're trading now back into the sideways range below us, right? There's my head and shoulders. And we know we've got the range below us is right here. What does that tell me? Head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern. A reversal pattern telling me this market is probably going to drop. So what does that mean? That means I probably should be giving a little bit of a bias to what side? The long side, right? Dollar drops, everything else should be expected to rise. So we get a little bit of a bias here, which means my higher percentage trades are going to be the long side today, right? Why? Because we see that reversal pattern up top here. And that reversal pattern shows us probably going to drop in the dollar, right? Not guaranteed, but it probably will. And you can see it did. And then once it breaks down to the bracket, it becomes an inside day and things will get a lot more choppy. So two big important things here. First of all, downside risk on the dollar, which means expect other markets to rise. Second thing was, with that downside risk, we now go right back into the range from yesterday, which means we want to be careful. So what does that tell us? Look for the longs and be careful if we break down back into the range below us, which we did. And that's exactly why we had to use a little bit of caution here going into the crude this morning. Now here's crude. Here's a great example, guys, of a sideways range. Right? There's crude. Here's my sideways range. Now crude oil, you can see, guys, I'm trading the 1210 contract. Okay, this is a brand new chart. Okay, this is the 1210, and this is a 34 range chart. All right, guys, 1210 meaning it's the December 2010 contract. 34 range, that's the time frame I'm using. Okay, now this time frame is similar to a 10, right, to a 15-minute chart. Range charts, though, very different, no time variable. Go to the blog. On the blog, search for chart types, and you'll see a great video we did on different chart types. Right now, what do you see? I see right away here, sideways range, and then here is a trend line. Now, what do you see here? Now, what is that trend line? That trend line is actually the high of a channel, right? That's a channel high. Now, what do we know about a channel? We know that when we break below that channel, right? If I break below 82, I want to be a seller, right? So below 82s, I want to be a seller. But above the high of that channel, I want to be a buyer. Okay, here's what happened. We ended up bouncing up to 82.44, right? Up at 82.44, we ended up taking the break above 82.44. So we bought the break above 82.44. We bought the lows, right? Buy those lows. Remember, guys, when I'm above the bracket below me, I'm at the lows. So here I am, 82.44. I want to buy the break above 82.44.